Okay, so boleh nampak saya punya screen. Kelas, boleh nampak ke screen saya?
Boleh, madam.
Alright. Okay, so in chapter 7 previously, we have go through the strategies and also initiative towards sustainable development. So kita dah go through one by one, okay. Untuk each goal under sustainable development goals, alright. For example, kita dah tengok all the detail about the goal. For example, goal number 1, no poverty, and then kita look into our the strategies and our role in achieving this goal. Okay, what can we do as a government, as a private sector, as a society? So for each of this goal, kita dah tengok what are the roles of the society ataupun the other stakeholders in this process. The next part in chapter 7 is about environmental, about the assessment. Okay, so in this process untuk sustainable development goals, untuk any project ataupun kita kata program conducted by the government or the other stakeholders such as private sector and also NGOs, they have to conduct this impact assessment. Okay, kita kena buat this impact assessment, and then after that baru kalau everything is okay, kita follow all the procedures and rules, and then barulah kita boleh proceed with the project. Okay, so the first impact assessment is about environmental impact assessment. Okay, so this assessment is a type of assessment where environmental consequences, okay, it's either positive or negative consequences of a plan, policy, program or actual project prior to the decision to move forward with the proposed action. Okay, so you nak buat program ataupun project, okay, you kena submit dulu this environmental assessment, okay, impact assessment to kita kata specific department. Then department tu akan decide whether to agree ataupun memberi kebenaran for you to proceed with your project, ataupun dia akan reject, okay, your proposal. So in this context, the term environmental impact assessment is usually used and applied to actual project, okay, by individual or companies, and the term strategy environmental assessment apply to policies, plan and program that most often proposed by organisation of states. Okay, kita ada environmental impact assessment and also strategic environmental assessment. So strategic environmental assessment lebih fokus kepada projek yang melibatkan policies, plan ataupun program. So it is a tool, okay, it is a tool of environmental management, forming a part of project approval and also decision making. So environmental assessment may be governed by rules of administrative procedure regarding public participation and also the documents of decision making, and also may be subject to judicial review. Okay, kalau melibatkan kita kata impact toward satu community, so might be, okay, so this assessment you have to submit to for judicial review. Okay, so the purpose of this assessment is to ensure that decision maker consider the environmental impact when deciding whether or not to proceed with a project. The International Association for Impact Assessment, okay, define environmental impact assessment as a process of identifying, predicting, evaluating and also mitigating the biophysical, social and other relevant effects of development proposal prior to major decision that being taken, and also in terms of the commitment made toward the project. Okay, so kita tengok contoh kata EIA, right? So in Malaysia, it is a study to identify, evaluative and also communicate information about the impact of a prescribed project on the environment. So it covers a wide scope and criteria such as buffer zone, air pollution, water pollution, geology, hydrology and so on. And the study has to be conducted by environmental consultant who are registered with Department of Environment. So kita akan hire this private consultant, this environmental consultant untuk buat inspection. Okay, dan dia juga akan keluarkan report lah. So report dia tu adalah environmental impact assessment. So kita kata the planner, okay, the planner need to submit the report to the Department of Environment, contohnya salah satu department yang terlibat, submit to them and Department of Environment akan decide sama ada this project can be proceed ataupun kita perlu kita kata reject, okay, the project. Okay, so this is an example of the environmental impact Malaysia, impact assessment in Malaysia. Okay, so ini adalah untuk projek tambakan laut bahagian selatan Pulau Pinang. Okay, projek tambakan laut Pulau Pinang, di Pulau Pinang, okay, bahagian selatan. So kalau you tengok dekat sini, bawah pada Penang International Airport. Alright, so they are planning to tambah lagi tanah. Okay, so this is the impact assessment. First, apa dia kena identify the area. Okay, apa yang dimaksudkan dengan bahagian selatan Pulau Pinang tu, the covered area, so dia kena identify. And then keadaan pesisiran pantai dia kena explain jarak tapak cadangan projek 250 meter from the pesisiran pantai, and then kadar hakisan dia kena identify. Okay, dia kena kita kata mention juga about dia, kita kata apa, ni lah kita kata keadaan kawasan tu, the area, for example ada sungai, and then ada hutan simpan kekal, and then ada bakau, alright, and then ada pulau, okay, in that area. Okay, kawasan terumbu karang. Okay, so for this, all this area, you have to check on the impact, okay, toward the area. For example, untuk kawasan terumbu karang ni, apa dia punya kesan, okay, impact, and then also the mitigation plan, okay, langkah kawalan. Right, so kalau kata for example the impact is terumbu karang menerima kesan kerana berkaitan dengan Pulau A, so apa dia punya langkah kawalan dia? Dia akan gunakan batu kecil kalau dia nak proceed with this project, okay. And then hatchery, hatchery ni maksudnya kawasan macam kita kata penternakan, alright. So ini antara yang terlibat lah, yang kata-kata akan dapat the impact ataupun consequences from the project. Okay, so lokasi hatchery, and then you identify the impact. Dua hatchery akan menerima impact. So apa langkah kawalan dia? Penambahbaikan untuk sistem penapisan and pemindahan pipe. Alright, and then ada this dataran lumpur, pendaratan penyu, okay, dekat Penang. So apa impact kalau kita tambak kawasan tu, and then perikanan, aquaculture. So this is an example of environment impact assessment. Okay, so tadi kita hire this environment consultant. So this consultant akan buat inspection, dia akan tengok the area dan kawasan terlibat. So dia akan ni lah buat report. So report ni apa yang you dah masukkan dalam report about impact, and then how to kita kata mitigation plan. So ini semua kena submit kepada Department of Environment. So nanti dia akan decide sama ada boleh proceed ke tidak dengan this project tambakan laut. Okay, so ini contoh EIA. Okay. So salah satu kita kata department ataupun organisation that involved in this EIA adalah UITM, A&A Laboratory happen to be the first Malaysian university that affiliate environmental laboratory. So we have our this laboratory. Okay, so A&A Scientific Resource are the one who operate this laboratory. It received its accreditation from the Department of Standard Malaysia. And then this laboratory is a joint entity when A&A Scientific Resource officially formed an alliance with UITM in 2005. Okay, so this laboratory provides services to consultancy companies, various industries, government bodies, private companies, and also universities on environment and health sampling and also testing. So kita boleh hire the officers from this laboratory sebagai tadi environment consultant, and basically this laboratory conduct a research lah. Okay, research regarding on the environment and also health. Okay, in Malaysia. So that the factors that violate the EIA. Okay, so ada few factors. The first one is failure to conduct an EIA. Yes. Okay, some planner fail to conduct. Right, so dia tak run this impact assessment. So bila dia tak run this impact assessment, so in the future if something happens, so dia tak ada langkah kawalan. Okay, the mitigation plan cannot be applied. So one of the most common violation is the failure to conduct an EIA before implementing a development project. So this can result in unexpected and also adverse environmental impact that were not considered or mitigated. Okay, and then second one is inadequate assessment. So EIA does not adequately assess the potential environmental impact of a project. So this can occur if the scope of the assessment is too narrow, if relevant data is omitted, or if the assessment is not conducted by qualified expert. Tadi kan kita dah tengok contoh report untuk projek tambakan laut di Pulau Pinang. So for example, katakanlah ada few elements that not been inspected by this environment consultant. So maksudnya you tak boleh bagi full information or detail about the impact and also the condition of the area and also the mitigation plan, okay, for your future. Okay, ignoring mitigation measure. The purpose of EIA is to identify potential adverse impact and also recommend measure to mitigate or avoid them. So if these measures are not implemented or if the project is implemented in a way that ignore them, it can violate the EIA process. Yes. Okay, mitigation plan ni penting, strategis ni penting sebab kita nak tahu apa kita punya action plan if something happen. That's why untuk mitigation plan it is better kalau you have this kita kata detail plan. Kalau katakanlah tiba-tiba due to contoh projek tambakan tadi, katakanlah berlaku flood, okay, banjir. So what will happen kepada that area? So through this mitigation plan, you boleh dah set the strategies, buat preparation, what are you going to do in the future. Okay. Next is lack of public consultation. The EIA process should involve public consultation to ensure that local community and stakeholders have a say in the proposed project. If this consultation is not conducted or is inadequate, it can violate the EIA process. So based on the project, for certain project, you have to get this public consultation. Maksudnya you have to ask the community, alright, the society. Kita kena tahulah dia punya ni. They have to have a say, okay, in the project. Mungkin before you propose the plan, you boleh buat meeting dengan the community and then explain to them what is your project, and then what will happen to them, and then apa you punya mitigation plan and so on. Kena make sure they know about the plan. Failure to comply with regulation. So environment, regulation and law may require specific steps to be taken during the process or during the implementation of a project. So fail to comply with this regulation can violate the EIA process. Yes, kita ada procedures and then kita ada regulation, rules. You have to follow. Kena submit kepada berapa department, kena hantar kepada officer, and then what kind of assessment that you need to conduct. So semua tu you have to fulfill. Okay, and then inaccurate information. If information provided in the assessment is inaccurate or misleading, it can result in unexpected and adverse environmental impact. Ini kita takutlah ada fraud or mistake in the report. For example, you maybe you bayar, di belakang you bayar lebih kepada the consultant untuk dia buat report palsu, ataupun untuk dia exclude certain information about the area. So this one akan affect, okay, you punya future plan ataupun the project. Alright. Okay, the second impact assessment. Kalau tadi environment impact assessment, second one is social impact assessment. Okay. So social impact assessment is a methodology to review the social effects of infrastructure project and other development intervention. So although this assessment applied to planned intervention, the same technique can be used to evaluate the social impact of unplanned event, for example, disaster, demographic change and epidemic. So as a way to assess the impact on society of certain development scheme and project, for example, new roads, industrial facilities, mines, dams, port, airport and the other infrastructure project. So its primary purpose is to bring about a more sustainable and also equitable biophysical and human environment. Okay. So this is the kita kata the elements of the social impact assessment. Kita ada hazard assessment, risk assessment, cultural impact, environmental impact, project, program and policy evaluation, and also economic assessment. Okay. So this is the importance of social impact assessment in developing country like Malaysia. Able to identify the potential harm from the development of the project, able to identify the possible impact on social development, identify the possible impact on cultural development, able to determine the mitigating measure, able to determine the impact of the project on the economy of the community. Okay, so kita tengok contoh ataupun report, okay, important of social impact assessment. Okay, ini adalah guideline. Okay, guideline untuk planner untuk conduct this social impact assessment. Okay, untuk any development project in Malaysia. So ini published by Plan Malaysia. Okay, so ada specific form, ada specific criteria untuk you submit. Okay, kita tengok sikit. Alright, so this is the definition of impact assessment. Okay, process to analyze. Okay, you kita kata observation dan juga untuk you manage the positive and negative impact. Okay, untuk one program ataupun one project. So penggerak projek, okay, kerajaan. Okay, so ini adalah you punya contribution ataupun kita kata the stakeholder, okay, penglibatan dekat proses saringan, pembidaan, pengumpulan data dan analisis, jangkaan dan penilaian, And then option reka bentuk, mitigation plan, pemantauan and also audit. Okey, ini adalah contoh pembangunan yang tertakluk kepada social impact assessment. So untuk projek-projek ni, you kena conduct social impact assessment. Okey. Kalau tadi contoh yang projek tambakan di kawasan Pulau Pinang tadi, contoh tadi hanya melibatkan environment impact assessment sahaja, kesan kepada environment. So dia tak melibatkan ataupun dia dalam contoh tu tak tunjuk berkaitan dengan this social impact assessment. So contoh-contoh penebus gunaan pinggir laut, yes, you kena conduct this social impact assessment. Okay, lapangan untuk infrastruktur projek, lapangan terbang, airport, pelabuhan laut, darat, okay. Dan rangkaian pengangkutan kereta api untuk lebuh raya, kemudahan utama such as tapak pembuangan sisa toksik and so on, perbandaran baru, okay, new residential area, and then pembangunan di puncak ataupun lereng bukit and also the other infrastructure, okay, for the country. Okay, so ini kategori A kena conduct social impact assessment. Untuk kategori B, ini melibatkan PBT, perindustrian, projek perindustrian, pengurusan sisa, tenaga dan utility, jalan raya and so on. Okay. So kena buat. Okay, apa yang perlu ada dalam di social impact assessment? So ini dalam this report dia ada tunjuk all the elements. Okay, kita tengok terus kepada ni lah. Contoh item yang diperlukan. Okay, so ini adalah contoh item yang diperlukan. Alright, untuk social impact assessment. So you have to identify kawasan ataupun kesan dia, impact social, okay. For example, konflik lalu lintas semasa kerja-kerja pembinaan. So ini you kena dah expect, okay. You should have this expectation and then you kena plan, okay. So apa yang boleh projek ni buat adalah menyediakan jadual keluar masuk kenderaan ke tapak pembinaan. Ini untuk mengurangkan traffic jam, okay, in that area. So KPI dia adalah kenderaan barat tidak dibenarkan semasa waktu puncak. And then what happened in the site telah menyediakan jadual keluar masuk. So ini adalah contoh. Okay, so ini adalah contoh report untuk kita kata social impact assessment yang you kena submit kepada your PBT, okay, local government. Alright. Okay, so ini adalah contoh tadi adalah contoh social impact assessment. Okay, so itu untuk chapter 7, strategies and also initiative toward sustainable development. Any question about that one? Ada soalan?
Tak ada, madam.
Alright. Okay, so kalau tak ada, then I proceed with chapter 8. Ini the last one, which is the effort in leisure, sustainable development effort. Alright. So for this chapter, we are going to look into the challenges, strategies and also initiative, and also later ada sikit part about the involvement of Malaysia in international sustainable development efforts. Okay, so first as introduction, so we basically have started our journey in sustainable development since 1970s. Okay, previously we have this new economy policy, Okay, so in 1970 where we aim to eradicate poverty and also restructure social imbalance. Ini dua kita kata main goals or aim of NEP. And after that, all the subsequent 5-year Malaysia Development Plan have underscored the element of sustainable development. So since then, kita start masukkan all the element of this sustainable development, okay, encompass the sustainable economic growth with equitable distribution to all sections of society, and then access to basic infrastructure and utilities, access to education and healthcare services, and also mainstream the environment conservation. Okay, so in 2009, okay, we have changed our economic policy to new economic model. Okay, with the commitment to pursue sustainable development based on the 3 pillars. Okay, so we aim for high income country, inclusivity, and also sustainability. So all these commitment actually reflect on the 3 main pillars, which is economy, social, and environment. So new economic model provide the basis for 5-year Malaysia Development Plan until 2020, and the current report, based on the current report, which is from the 11 Malaysia Plan. So the theme of the plan is anchoring grow on people, where people will be centerpiece of all development efforts and to ensure that no section of society is left behind in participating and benefiting from the nation development. Okay. So ini, right, next page ni adalah about the achievement of the 11 Malaysia Plan. So we are currently having ataupun conducting our 12th Malaysia Plan. So untuk 12th Malaysia Plan, aim kita adalah a prosperous, inclusive and also sustainable Malaysia. Okay, so itu fokusnya untuk capai, kita kata, agenda 2030 lah. Alright, so Malaysia therefore not starting anew on its pathway to sustainable development, but it is a process that already in motion. Kita dah start daripada 1970s. So some of the achievement to date, okay, so ini based on 11 Malaysia Plan report, okay, ataupun achievement. So untuk SDG 1 and 2, so absolute poverty has been reduced from 49.3%, okay, in 1970 to 0.6% in 2014 with no reported cases of hunger. So ini yang berlaku di Malaysia dah. Kita kata dah tak ada dah lah wujud kes-kes no reported cases of hunger, kelaparan. Okay. And then SDG 3, child and maternal mortality rates are almost at the level of developed countries. And then we're able to eradicate endemic smallpox and polio and reverse the spread of HIV/AIDS. So there is a drastic reduction in waterborne disease, death from treatable childhood disease and also malaria. So in terms of health services, kita kata the successful rate is higher. So kita boleh compete with the developed countries in terms of this health and services. Sebab kalau you tengok, Malaysia ada proper plan for their health services. Okay. For example, daripada you lahir sampailah umur you berapa, ada certain, for example, injection yang you kena pergi klinik and dapatkan this injection, and then kena dapatkan all the vaccines, and then dia ada regular check and so on. Okay. Okay, untuk SDG 4 and 5, more than 90% enrollment rates for primary and secondary school level for both boys and girls under, and also 33% for higher education with gender ratio slightly in favor of girls. Yes. Okay, so enrollment rates, kita kata it is higher, okay, about 90% enrollment rates kadar kemasukan ataupun ni lah pelajar yang mendaftar untuk primary and also secondary school, and also untuk higher education there are about 33%. Okay, and then for SDG 6, over 95% coverage for water and sanitation and electricity supply at national level. Okay, and then to SDG 7, 12 and 16, law, regulation, policies and plan in place to better protect and ensure sustainable use of natural assets. So ini yang melibatkan environment. And then untuk SDG 8 about decent work. Okay, so kita kata kita dah achieve this full employment since 1992. So ini adalah report ataupun achievement of 11 Malaysia Plan. Okay, and then ada lagi untuk SDG 10, ada income inequality reduce. Okay, and then SDG 13, 14, 15 and 17. So as of 2015, maintain more than 50% forest cover, 10.76% as terrestrial land protected areas, and 1.06 as marine protected areas. And then in terms of carbon intensity, reduced by 33%, increase renewable energy capacity. So Malaysia also participate in international transboundary conservation effort like the Coral Triangle and also the Heart of Borneo Initiative. So ini antara achievement, okay, untuk 11 Malaysia Plan. Okay, so the second part is the Agenda 2030, alright, where this agenda increased the resolve to pursue the journey on sustainable development more aggressively. So Malaysia has aligned SDG principle with the 11 Malaysia Plan, which will entrench SDGs in all phases of Malaysia development. So the former PM of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Mohamed Najib, made his commitment during UN General Assembly that Malaysia will adopt the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and also its implementation. So kalau you tengok since 11 Malaysia Plan sampailah the recent one, 12 Malaysia Plan, kita prepare our Malaysia Plan accordingly to the Sustainable Development Goals. Kita ambil this kita kata main map of Sustainable Development Goals, ada 17 goal tu, then from there kita start kita come up with our own plan. Okay, so the Agenda 2030 embrace and implement the 17 SDGs in a systematic and also measurable manner. So Malaysia, for example, has taken the following initiative. Okay, for example, establish a multi-stakeholder participatory governance structure. Okay, so kita dah melibatkan all the stakeholder for our program and project. For example, kita call for the private sector and then the NGOs untuk work together to achieve this agenda. Held 2 national SDG symposium to promote participation of stakeholder. So kita invite all these stakeholder to this symposium untuk discuss. Okay, we have this symposium, you discuss, and then untuk to have this better knowledge about this agenda, conducted studies on data readiness and also gap analysis. So we have our Department of Statistics, okay, who lead with the data readiness. Okay, and kalau you buat sikit reading, okay, kalau you tengok most of our research conducted in Malaysia focusing on this 17 Sustainable Development Goals ataupun this Agenda 2030. Okay, and then undertaken a mapping exercise involving non-government and also civil society organisation and private sector to align SDG with the 11 Malaysia Plan So untuk all the other stakeholders, untuk dia orang punya project and program ataupun plan juga, kita make sure they comply ataupun fulfill all the 17 sustainable development goals. And then establish a national roadmap to guide implementation of the agenda 2030 and the SDGs. Okey, kita tengok contoh SDG roadmap. Okay, so ini adalah report untuk SDG roadmap from 2016 to 2020. Ini untuk the 11 Malaysia Plan. Okay, so ini contoh dia. Okay, so mapping, process of mapping SDG to 11 Malaysia Plan. Ini yang saya kata, kita ambil all these 17 goals and then kita come out with our trust or plan based on all the goals. Okay, so ini apa yang WHO ataupun United Nations come out, ada 17 goals, and then at the same time kita ada 2, 4, 6, 7 okay, strategic trust under 11 Malaysia Plan. So all these trusts akan meet these elements of this SDG. Okay, yeah, so we have 6 pillar, okay, under 11 Malaysia Plan. So all these pillars focusing on kita kata all these 17 sustainable development goals. Alright, so report ni nanti saya akan forward pada you, so you boleh guna untuk you punya additional information, okay, untuk you punya chapter 8. Alright. Okay, moving forward. So next step to be taken. Okay, so ini kita punya plan in the future. So first is to localize SDG at sub-national level by replicating the national multi-stakeholder governance structure at state level. Kalau tadi government dah come up with this 11 Malaysia Plan, kita dah ada all the roadmap, all the pillars, and now kita kena localize, okay, our SDG ke peringkat yang lebih kecil, iaitu state level ataupun local government level. Localize means kita tengok based on the local or community needs. Okay, so untuk contoh Kedah, so apa dia punya strategies untuk meet all the strategic trust ataupun SDG, and then Penang mungkin dia ada strategies, KL mungkin dia ada strategies. Okay, so based on the local ataupun community needs. Second is to mobilize resources and funding through partnership. Okay, we have crowdsourcing, social entrepreneurship, CSR program, support and funding from international sources. So kita pull our sources, sama ada from internal, okay, ataupun and also from international. Okay, and then strengthening data readiness and filling data gap to develop a comprehensive data set for SDG implementation. So data readiness ataupun data is very important untuk kita buat analisis. Kalau you nak tengok for example kadar kemiskinan di Malaysia, so you kena ada kita kata annual data, okay, yang menunjukkan kadar setiap tahun, dan only baru you boleh analyse and come up with the report, come up with the trend untuk tengok sama ada trend kenaikan ataupun trend penurunan. So itu semua based on the data that being provided by the specific department, for example Department of Statistics of Malaysia. Okay, challenges of sustainable development. So few challenge, okay. The first one is lack of exposure on sustainable development, where only half of Malaysian citizens are aware of the government goal and vision on sustainable development. Yes. Alright. So in term of this issue ataupun case, kita kata bahawa most of Malaysian did not aware about these sustainable development goals. Some of us mungkin tahu pasal Malaysia Plan, rancangan Malaysia ke-11, rancangan Malaysia ke-12, but they don't know ataupun dia tak aware that all these strategies actually meet the sustainable development goals. Dan kita kena fokus kepada the 3 pillars of sustainable development, which is economy, environment and also social. And then the implementation challenges. So SDG involve everybody and it will take time, especially in terms of the attitude and habits of people. Of course lah. Okay, some of us are reluctant to change. So kita tak nak leave our comfort space. So apa yang berlaku adalah kita nak stick to the traditional method ataupun old method. So kita reluctant with the new tools, new method ataupun new technology. And then reckless consumption habit. So Malaysian could do more to abate climate change and help the country's deterioration environmental condition by being more prudent in using energy and natural resources, particularly water. Okay, so basically as a society, as a community or as an individual, we have to make sure we play our role. Kalau setiap orang daripada kita contribute ataupun kita kata aware about our consumption habit, so basically it is kita kata possible for us untuk meet all the sustainable development goals. That's why hari tu saya minta you untuk identify your footprint, your own footprint. So setiap orang ada kita kata your consumption habit. And setiap orang ada sebenarnya ada possible ways or strategies untuk kita ubah, kita change our consumption habit. Okay, shrinking forested areas to form water catchment. So ini adalah salah satu isu ataupun challenge untuk this sustainable development, where we tend to shrink the forested areas. Okay, kita clear the areas untuk kita buat this water catchment. Okay, tempat air tu. Contoh ponds, tasik. Okay, so untuk tempat pengumpulan air. Okay, to store the water for future, for water supply. Sedangkan sebenarnya it is important for us to maintain our forested areas. Okay, jangan hanya fokus untuk this water catchment. And then river pollution, okay, by chemical and poorly treated wastewater. Declining number of endangered wildlife, okay, like the Malayan tiger. Impact of climate change on Malaysia economy. So Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, is projected to experience the largest impact on economic growth if the world were to increase in temperature by just 1.5 degree Celsius between 2030 and also 2052. So ini adalah kesan, okay, impact of climate change on Malaysia economy. And then number 8, sea level still continuing to rise. Okay, so bila paras air meningkat, okay, about 10 million fewer people will be exposed. So orang akan hilang tempat tinggal, okay, our habitat. Okay, the other challenge of sustainable development, okay, include land use change, pollution, introduction of exotic species, which may lead to be future unsustainability, extinction of certain species and also lacking sustainability awareness. Okay, nanti you boleh try search apa contoh-contoh exotic species yang kita kata tiba-tiba muncul yang menyebabkan this future unsustainability. Alright. Okay, strategies and initiative of sustainable development in Malaysia. So among the strategies untuk this discussion, kita ada 6 strategies. Okay, the first one is Malaysia Quality of Life Index. Okay, so this Quality Life Index measure Okay, the society or the individual quality of life based on air quality index, deforestation, clean water index, income, working life, transportation and communication, health, education and so on. So kita tengok sama ada you are happy ataupun you have a quality of life ataupun tidak. Okay, the second strategies adalah melalui Malaysia Urban Quality of Life. So this index developed by the Economic Planning Unit in 2002. So Malaysia Urban Quality of Life is similar to MQLI but focus is mostly on 4 major Malaysia cities. So kita fokus kepada 4 major cities which is the Klang Valley, KL, and then Johor Bahru, Penang and also Ipoh. Okay, so this approach has 19 indicators and the assessment approach function in city level. So ini kita assess ataupun evaluate these urban people, right? So kita akan evaluate based on their income, working life, transportation and communication, health, education, housing and so on. Okay. Alright, next is Compendium of Environment Statistic. So Malaysia Department of Statistics has proposed Compendium of Environment Statistic approach in 2001 and aim to present ongoing issues relevant to sustainable development planners. Ini untuk data readiness tadi . So this Department of Statistics compile all the information ataupun all the data for future use. Okay, so there are 4 rubrics, namely air, water, land, environment. Okay, so ini lebih kepada sustainable development ataupun untuk environment. Okay. Next is Malaysian Urban Indicator Network, MURNI-NET. So the Federal Town and Country Planning developed this urban network for urban area, aim to test a set of urban indicator for moving the urban development. Okay, so the approach has 11 rubric, namely land use, population, household, economic and so on. So kalau you tengok dia lebih kurang sama dengan MQLI dengan MUQL tadi. Alright, cuma yang ini kita fokus untuk urban development lah. Okay. Alright, then next one is Malaysia Sustainable Development Approach. This one at state level. So there are some state assessment approach which have been developed in the state level. Okay, for example, Sustainable Development Indicator for Selangor, Klang Valley, Regional Sustainability Quality of Life Index, Health Cities Indicator of JB, and also Sustainable Penang Initiative. Ini antara contoh di peringkat state. Okay, last one is Green Building Index. So the objective of development this GBI is to save energy, resources, recycle material and harmonise the building with Malaysia climate, tradition, culture and its environment, as well as maintaining the capacity of the ecosystem. So ada 6 different rubric. So energy index, indoor environmental quality, sustainable site planning, material and resources, water efficiency and innovation. So all these 6 index ni kita buat adalah untuk kita evaluate ataupun measure the performance of one project. Okay, so kita tengoklah based on area, sama ada based on state level ataupun ini based on building, kita kata satu-satu bangunan, ataupun based on area tadi, urban area, ataupun kita kata in general for the whole Malaysia. Okay, so next is initiative that been taken by Malaysia to implement the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So the first one is National SDG Roadmap, macam saya bagi contoh pada you tadi. Okay, to guide its effort toward achieving the SDG, so the roadmap outline the country priorities and target for each goal and provide a framework for collaboration between different stakeholders. So dia ada dia punya strategies trust, So for each trust ada, kita dah identify the plan and also framework for collaboration. Siapa stakeholder yang boleh terlibat for each task. And then SDG Action Control. Council. So this council oversee the implementation of the SDG. So it is made up of representatives from different ministries and agencies as well as civil society and the private sector. So ini adalah Action Council. So dia akan regularly oversee ataupun observe, okay, the process of, kita kata, achieving this SDG, implementation of the SDG. Okay, sorry. Alright, next one is voluntary national review. So Malaysia has conducted this review of its progress to achieving SDG. So this VNR is a self-assessment exercise that allow country to identify area where they need to improve and share their experience with other countries. So this voluntary national review, so biasanya government akan minta the department, specific department untuk kita kata self-evaluate. Kita check sendiri apa yang kita kata areas to improve. Okay. And then Green Technology Master Plan to promote the development and adoption of green technology. So the plan include initiative to promote renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable transportation and also sustainable building. So this Green Technology Master Plan, dia akan identify the plan dan juga kita kata the process of implementation, adoption of green technology. Okay, untuk setiap, kalau you tengok projek, dia ada option untuk this green technology. Okay, for example sustainable transportation. So kita encourage kita kata encourage the company ataupun pengeluar kereta untuk produce this kita kata green car. Okay, for example untuk support this master plan. Okay, next is National Biodiversity Policy. Okay, so this policy aim to conserve and manage the country biodiversity. So the policy include initiative to protect and restore ecosystem, promote sustainable agriculture and reduce the impact of climate change. And then we have Sustainable Development Unit, okay, under Prime Minister Department. So this unit coordinate the implementation. So tadi kan kita dah identify a framework for collaboration. So this unit akan check, okay, sama ada you collaborate with the right department ataupun institution or not. And then corporate social responsibility, CSR. So ini biasanya conducted by the private sector or businesses. Okay, so the government will provide incentive for the companies that engage in sustainable practice and has established a CSR center. Okay, so you have to need, so the company biasanya to the CSR, dia akan contribute back to the society. Okay, so dia akan buat contoh, dia akan buat training ataupun awareness program ataupun mungkin melalui dia punya produk or project yang boleh contribute kepada ekonomi, social and also environment. Okay, so Malaysia University Sustainable Efforts. Kalau kita tengok tadi, kita kata strategies by the government. So ini ada universities level. So we have covered sidewalk are provided with more green plant grown to encourage students to walk. Yes. Okay, and then garden, parks and ponds are specially designed and provided in campuses. They do not only refine the air and produce oxygen, but also provide a good habitat for different species and help the biodiversity. Kalau you tengok, kita kata landscape. Landscape kebanyakan universities in Malaysia lebih kurang Maksudnya you ada all this area untuk selain daripada kita kata to define the end produce oxygen, tapi juga untuk habitat for the other species, and also planted trees and plants, and this lead to the formation of a unique flora and fauna which is aimed to use indigenous plantation and also sustainable landscape. Okay, communication between campus user is currently done via electronic. Yes, sekarang ni kebanyakannya kita communicate through online, okay? Whereas most of the communication from student to lecturers and staff are done through email. So assessment system and students mark are done through electronic portal, which reduce the use of a lot of paper and thus help conserve the environment. We are in the process, okay? So instead of for example kita ada this contoh final examination apa semua tu, kita, some test yang mana kita boleh conduct online, kita conduct online, and then all the assessment, most of assessment kita sama jugalah, mana yang kita boleh buat through the system, through online, kita buat online. So kita tak guna banyak, for example kertas, papers. Okay, and then majority of the campus users needs such as banking facilities, restaurant, swimming pool, sport, complex, grocery shop, stadium, laundry, tailor shop, binding and photography services, mosque, clinic, and even petrol station as well as shopping mall have been catered for inside the campus or place which can be reached in short period of time. Yeah. Okay, for certain campuses, they have all these facilities. Alright, so all the result in lesser need for transportation and lower green gas emission. Okay, saya ingat lagi, mungkin zaman saya dululah sebenarnya. Zaman saya dulu belajar dekat UiTM Kedah, bila VC, Vice Chancellor masa zaman tu datang ke UiTM Kedah. So bila dia buat perjumpaan dengan semua pelajar, so kalau ditanya pelajar ni macam-macam dia minta kan, McDonald dia minta dalam kampus, and then dia minta shopping mall, mungkin not a big one, tapi a small size of this kita kata complex that can provide all the needs for the students. And then kita request, masa zaman tu belum ada stadium dekat belakang tu, so ada banyak sebenarnya kita kata development yang dah berlaku in our campuses, right? And then involvement of Malaysia in the international sustainable development effort. Okay, so ini untuk international collaboration ataupun participation. So in term of partnership and commitment, such as in ASEAN Sustainable Development Summit, so we have joined this. Okay, so example of partnership initiative and voluntary commitment as follow. The first one is Coral Triangle Initiative. So Coral Triangle Initiative on coral reef, fisheries and food security is a multilateral partnership of 6 countries working together to sustain extraordinary marine and coastal resources by addressing crucial issues such as food security, climate change and marine biodiversity. So spanning only 1.6 of the planet ocean, so this coral triangle region is home to the highest coral diversity in the world. Okay, so kita participate in this Coral Triangle Initiative. Okay. Alright, so ini melibatkan government of Indonesia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Solomon Island and also Timor-Leste. Okay. Next one is enhancing South-South cooperation for capacity building in science. Okay, ini fokus untuk science, to economic and resilient to natural shock in the Pacific and Southeast Asia. So the establishment of Malaysia Cooperative Trust Fund which contribute to enhance South-South cooperation for capacity building in education and science for the benefit of least developed countries, small island state in Asia and the Pacific, and in support of the Priority Africa agenda of UNESCO. Okay, so kita participate. So antara partner yang terlibat adalah UNESCO, UKM, UTM, UNIZA, Ministry of Natural Resources, Secretariat of Pacific Community, University of South Pacific, Secretariat of the Pacific Regional, and so on. Okay. Next one is IHO, Hydrography Capacity Building Program for Coastal States. Alright, so partner yang terlibat adalah International Hydrography Organization, IHO member state, International Maritime Organization, World Meteorological Organization, International Association of Marine Aid to Navigation, and also Lighthouse Authorities. Okay, so nanti you boleh tengok all the description. And then next one adalah promoting South-South cooperation through climate change education in Asia Pacific Small Island Developing State. Right? Okay, so ini yang terlibat adalah UNESCO Jakarta, UNESCO APIA, Malaysian Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education and Teaching Training Institute in target SIDs. Okay. Alright, so in conclusion, Malaysia can and should be ambitious with the goal and target for the SDG, and we have demonstrated that we can set and achieve higher target through sustained and systematic effort. So Malaysia has in place the implementing mechanism for the SDG with Sustainable Development Initiative aligned with the 11 Malaysia Plan, and National SDG Roadmap set out the priorities and plan of action for implementation. Okay, so that's all untuk chapter 8, Sustainable Development Effort in Malaysia. Okay, any question? Any question, class?
Madam.
Madam? Semua okay ke tu?